Welcome to the Unstoppable Pursuit podcast, where we're pushing the limits in business, life, and health. And today, it is episode 31. And as you notice, we're out of Cleveland. We're somewhere else now.
We are no longer in the city of Cleveland.
Yes, we're from Cleveland, but we are out of Cleveland. Today, we're talking about the 12 ways to be mentally strong. This episode is brought to you by Garcia Carlson, CPA firm. We are super excited. We are in their space. They are allowing us to use this for now, but we may be permanent residents very soon. So, all right, Mike, you know what? I didn't even do the thing. I'm Brian Benson. I got so excited about the new space. I got excited about the new space and telling everybody, hey, here's we are. I'm Brian Benson, and next to me, well, you all know him as the buff brother from another mother. He's dominating people's day and their faces, Michael Stull. He wrote a book called Dominate Your Day. Check it out on his website at michaelstull.com. You can get it for $19.95.
How many times does Monday come around and you see so many people dreading it? I want Monday to be fearful of you. I want Monday to quiver knowing you are going to wake up and dominate. You wake up every day with an opportunity that's denied to many. You can do whatever you want with each day. Say to yourself that today is going to be a great day. It's a blank canvas. Never take that for granted. You have a choice to make each day. If you wake up and think that you will never have this and you will never do that, chances are you're probably correct. Start thinking you can have and do anything you want in your life. It starts with a mindset and putting it into action. When your feet hit the floor in the morning, have an attitude of gratitude and be relentless on your pursuit, the unstoppable pursuit of life that you want on all levels, because you will be an inspiration to others.
Ooh, baby.
Ooh, baby.
That's so true, man. I had a conversation with somebody earlier today, and I was like, don't rob the world of your gift. You can and will be an inspiration to others. Do not be selfish.
I was just going to say that. You're being selfish by not pursuing your dreams because you're not going to be inspiring others who may actually need that inspiration from you.
100%, bro. All right, let's get into the first way that we can be mentally strong, and the 12 ways to be mentally strong. And number one is don't fear alone time.
This one, I think, fits me because sometimes I tend to be a loner. I can honestly say that. Like, I do enjoy being by myself. In fact, like, when I was not married, for example, like, I got really comfortable being by myself. Almost to the point where it was, like, kind of scary, where I'm like, I am fiercely independent. But I think having your alone time also allows you to just kind of, you know, like, take a step back, like, get your equilibrium, like, you know, you do a lot of thinking when you're by yourself and you kind of recharge your batteries. So it may not work for everyone, but I think that just as it's important to be around people, I think it's important to take a little bit of time for yourself, not just for business, but for your personal life too.
I agree. I mean, it does recharge the batteries, and one thing that I dealt with a lot, and I think a lot of people dealt with, is FOMO, fear of missing out. Like, sometimes I would have this fear I was missing out if I wasn't out or around people all the time, and it was freaking me out, and I was like, oh my God. But the reality is, you need to be comfortable by being alone and okay with it, and just chill a little bit, because you do need to recharge the batteries. It's good for business, and it's good for your health.
I like that, fear of missing out on something, because I think, like, I can honestly think that maybe early on, if I didn't go out and party with friends when I was younger, I felt, and I know you could probably relate to this too, you feel like you're missing out.
Am I a party?
but then you're going to bed earlier, you're getting a good night's sleep, and you're getting up earlier in the morning, and you're being super productive while other people are hungover.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? So, like, there's definitely pros to spending that time alone.
Yeah. 100%.
Number two, don't dwell on the past. We've talked about this before.
Exactly, and you know, I'm going to quote one of my favorite movies, The Lion King, and Rafiki said, "The past is the past." Yeah, right. You know, and that's the reality of it is, when you dwell on the past, then that means you are consistently walking into your past and allowing that thing to dictate where you go in your life. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I've said this before, you don't drive down the road staring in the rearview mirror, but you also don't want to continue walking in your past. You want to walk in the future. The past happened, you got to shut that drawer, lock it up, and move on with your life.
Yeah, and there's a quote in my book actually that you reminded me of. How can you cleanse the mud from your feet if you keep going back and stepping in the mud puddle? You know what
100%.
I mean? Like, you walk through it. Like, now you need to cleanse yourself from that and keep moving forward. Like, you know, like, it's okay when you drive to maybe glance in the rear mirror, but don't stare in it. Don't completely focus on that.
Yeah, because, and this is what the conversation I had earlier today was, this person's like, oh, I've tried that, it didn't work. And so now they think in their head, like, no matter what I do, it's never going to work. You got to be open to every day and everything that you try, even though it might be similar to what you tried in the past, it's still a new experience. It's a different environment. It's a different time. It's a different place. You're with different people. So you have to allow new experiences to come into your life rather than dwelling, no, I'm not going to try that because, oh, in the past I failed, you know, and you just can't. Otherwise, you'll never move forward.
Right, yeah, just use it for fuel to your motivation. There's things that have not worked out for me in the past, and I try not to dwell on them, but I do remind myself of them because I don't want to make that same mistake again.
Yeah.
You know, we want to learn from it.
100%. All right, number 3, what's up, Facebook?
Yeah, I know.
Don't feel the world owes you.
This one I like because I think that a lot of times we need to be humble. You know, like when I first got into health and fitness, for example, and I'm doing all my plans and I'm starting to achieve a little bit of success and some accolades and stuff, I can honestly say that I kind of almost started thinking like, no, everyone should be coming to me for health and wellness because I'm Michael Stull. Like, I'm Michael Stull. Like, why are they not coming to me? And then then I needed to humble myself and realize, like, no one owes me anything. I need to go out and work for it, which I'm completely fine with. There's been numerous, you know, incidents that have humbled me greatly, and I have to learn from them and move forward. But, like, honestly, the world owes you nothing. There is no such thing as overnight success, which we talked about, and you need to go out and work for it.
No, 100%. I mean, the world does not owe you anything, but I think what you're saying is, and I have that too, is there's a difference between like cockiness and confidence, and then there's like that humility piece. Like there's that fine line of that, of being...
I know all about the humility.
Yeah. Very, you're allowed to be confident and feel like I deserve the best, but you have to have that humility piece of, I need to remember how hard it took, like all the hard work I need to put into it kind of thing, and just forget about the world does not owe you. Nobody owes you. You owe yourself.
Yeah, don't let there, like expanding from what you said, don't let there be a disconnect between you believing that you deserve the best, because you should feel that
Yeah,
way,
you should.
because you want to be the best, but don't let there be a disconnect with that it also involves the other half of the equation is putting your ass to work.
Right.
You know, not just, no, the world owes me, I deserve it, I should have it. Well, there's another piece. You know, you need to work.
Yeah. Hard work.
Number 4, don't expect immediate results. This is a really good one.
You know, I mean, and today I actually had an awesome interview. I got to interview the former CEO of Brinks Armored
Facebook?
Cars. On Facebook. For those podcast listeners, we do this on Facebook Live, so you can check us out and like our page on Unstoppable Pursuit on Facebook. I got to interview him, and you know, it was really funny. Like the first thing we were talking about when we got in there was like, man, people these days just want immediate results. They want like things yesterday. He's like, it took me 30 years to get here. Like this guy put his blood, sweat, and tears and time and effort and failures into 30 years to where he's now like part of a private equity company. He's done very, very well for himself. He took Brinks from 100 million to 4 billion, but over a very, like, I think he was at actual Brinks for 12 years. But it was all 30 of his working year experience to get to where he was. So there is no overnight success. There's a reason now he has these places all over the world and homes and has all these nice things, because he put in the time and the effort, and he never expected immediate results. Everything this guy did, he's like, oh yeah, it took me 4 years to sell that company, but he played everything was the long game.
Well, yeah.
And I think that's when you can have that mentality of, look, if you're looking for the quick turnaround result that you want, like, this is so true in the network marketing like world, you know, and like a lot of these like scam, not saying that all network marketing is scam, I really believe, but there's bad apples in all of them. Some people will tell you, you're going to make millions of dollars like right away, but it's just not true. No matter what you do, you got to look at the long term and play that game.
Yeah, and my example is, and you know, Unstoppable, this podcast, Unstoppable Pursuit is the long game.
Yeah, it is. It is. 100%.
Your company, InspireLink, is the long game, you know? So it's like we have to think long term, not instant gratification. The example that I want to give quickly is Andy Frisilla. For those that don't know who he is, he's the owner of First Form, and he owns a lot of other companies as well. But you know, he's set to do 150 million, Forbes said, in 2017. But if you go on his Instagram account, from years he releases from years 0 to 6, he was making no money, like none. And then like from like 6 to like 8, he was like breaking even or making like $500-600, you know. And then things started to really take off for him, and they expanded their supplement superstores, and like, you know, he just, the business really grew over the course of time, and now, I mean, he's just killing it, you know. But he says, like, if he had given up in the first 5, 6, 8, even 8 years, like when he met his wife, he had 60 grand in credit card debt. I can guarantee you right now, he has no credit card debt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've seen his cars.
You know what I mean? Yeah, he has like 20 cars, but it's like, and that's what he wants to spend his money on. That's completely fine. But I mean, long game, people. You got to think the long game, you know?
It's so true. Next one is worry about, I think it's don't worry.
Yeah, don't worry. All those lines are don't.
Oh, I didn't understand what Mike was drawing on the board over here, but yes, I'm like, what? Don't worry about pleasing everyone.
I've done this in the past, and I want to kick myself in the ass for doing it. You know, there's been numerous, I'll let you kick me in the ass, but no, there's been numerous times, Brian, you know that
I know.
I've made decisions based off of what I thought other people were going to say. And mind you, and I made them based off of if I thought, my final decision was based off of if I thought they were going to be favorable towards my decision.
Yeah.
I should not have done that. You know, like, I don't have to get into details on those particular situations, but doing that got me nowhere. You know, like we said it in the past. Those people, you know, some of the people that I actually worried about their opinion, I'll look them up on Facebook. They're living their life.
Yeah.
They care less about me. You know what I mean?
I know.
And here I was making a decision off of what they thought. But then here they are, like, doing crazy shit, like going and living their life, and then, like, you think they care about what I think? No. That's the best way I can explain it.
No, it's so true, because really, and we kind of talked about this in the last one, but life is going to go on no matter what. Life is just going to go on. People are going to live their lives, and if you worry about pleasing other people or thinking about what they care about, it's just a bad way of living. You're just going to drive yourself into a hole, and you'll never come out. Like, if we were so worried about what people were going to think about our podcast, it's like we wouldn't even have started the podcast. You know what I mean? It's so true, and I'm listening to a podcast right now. Huh? Was something messed up? No, I was just zooming in and zooming out. Okay. I got worried there for a minute. I was trying some things. I was trying new things. Okay, Brian. Jeez. You guys don't even, I mean, you guys mess out if you're only listening to it and you're not watching this on Facebook Live, because shenanigans happen behind the scenes. So. But it is funny, because when I was listening to this podcast, this guy was talking about who really wins at the end of the day, right? And it's not the person who's been trained to sit around and do the mediocre thing. It's the guy who walks around with a little bit of rough edges and isn't afraid that people are going to laugh at them or make fun of them or worry about anything else. Like, if we were so worried what people think, like, we would not be blasting on Facebook, we would not be putting this out on podcasts, like, but we're trying to change the way that we do things in life. We are trying to say, like, we are personal development with an entertainment twist, having fun in life, like taking what we do seriously but not ourselves. Like, it's a little bit different than the Tony Robbins, the guy that's more strict about that stuff. We are just more out there, but we're trying to disrupt some things a little bit, and you can't be afraid to do that, and you can't be afraid that that's going to probably piss people off or it's not going to please everybody. Not everybody's for us, but, you know, again, you know, we don't really care. If God is for us, who can be against us, Brian? Exactly. No, but if you're afraid to put yourself out there, I mean, honestly, and you're kind of tiptoeing around everything, you're not honestly going to get anywhere in life. You're going to probably live a mediocre life. Yeah. And honestly, if the people aren't really talking about you, good or bad, then you're just not doing anything in any shape or form, whether it's disruptive
or it's positive.
Yeah, right.
You don't even exist technically. You know what I mean? If people aren't at least like talking about you of something that you're doing, like don't be afraid to go against the grain.
Yeah, too many times we've been, a lot of times in this day and age, like we've been conditioned that you're rewarded for mediocrity. You've been rewarded for being corporate. You're rewarded.
Congratulations, Brian. You got 12th place, and we're going to give you a gold medal.
Exactly. No, it's true. That is so true. Hey, you are getting rewarded for being a good, straight edge, fall in line. You did what you were supposed to. That's great. But it's the person that kind of does something a little bit different, a little bit wacky, that doesn't care about pleasing everybody, that the Andy Fusillas of the world, the guy didn't really give a shit what anybody thought about him.
And he cusses like a crazy man.
Yeah, but you know what? If he said, I can't cuss on my podcast, I'm not going to do that. If Gary Vee said that, where would they be?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, Andy's known for having foul language. Now, it doesn't offend me because I use it on occasion too, but like I think him using it gets his point across in a much stronger way. Sorry, Facebook, on my side, you're disconnecting. But, he gets his point across by doing that. And, that's not necessarily my style. I do it on occasion. But if he were so afraid of what people would say, he would not have one of the top. At one point in time, he was the #1 podcast on iTunes for new and noteworthy.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, if baby Colin Benson gets last place, he's going to get an earful from Uncle Mike.
Oh, yeah.
He ain't going to be like, oh, it's okay. It's going to be like, no, dude, you're 10. I need to get you in the gym. I'm going to pump you full of roids. I'm just kidding on that one.
But it's true though. And now that I am a dad and thinking about that, like I want him to not worry about what other people think and not worry about being such a people pleaser. The people pleasers become doormats and they get walked on their whole lives, and that is it, and then they just stay there. They don't get up and do anything, and they feel sorry for themselves. They make excuses on why they can't change, and to me that is very sad existence, and I don't want anybody to feel that. Don't be afraid to piss people off a little bit and ruffle a little feathers, because that at the end of the day is going to make you unique and different and make something of your life.
Exactly. And the one thing I want to add to that too is a little tiny story. Is there was a story of these people that were in the desert and they were supposed to ride the donkeys, and the one person, and it could go both ways. So if the one person, you could easily ride the donkey, but then someone would say, oh, what, are you too lazy? You want to ride the donkey, so you're too lazy. And then let's say they get off, oh, you're trying to show off to the rest of the group that you're going to walk through the desert instead of riding on the donkey. It's like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So you might as well go about living your life the way you want to on your terms.
Dude. See you, podcast is over.
See ya, game over. My Facebook disconnected anyway. See ya, everybody. Bye.
But dude, I couldn't say it any better. That is an awesome
It's like people are going to like you or they're going to hate you. But you still got to go about your business because they're going to have opinion regardless. That is going to exist. That's reality. So just go about, just be you. Do you,
Yeah, I feel you, man. All right.
This one's me. Don't waste energy on things you can't control.
I thought we were saying don't waste.
Oh, I jumped ahead. Don't waste time feeling sorry for yourself. Now I feel really sorry for myself. That worked out good. We're both guilty of this along our entrepreneurial journey.
Hate people who feel sorry for themselves, and I hate that I have done it. And
we don't do it anymore, but we both are guilty of it.
Oh man, I can't tell you how many times I've sat around bitching, moaning, crying about, oh, I can't do this, if I only had this, I'd be so much better. It's just like, stop feeling sorry for yourself, create something with the raw materials that you do have, and make it great. Like, the people who feel sorry for themselves, I feel sorry for you that you feel sorry for yourself, but they will never achieve what they want in life when you feel sorry for yourself, because it's just a constant complaining and excuses. There's no ownership. It's, oh man, it's this woe is me. It's the Debbie Downer, it's when something's going good, it's still they look for something that, I feel sorry for myself. I hate that feeling.
Yeah, and Lindsay always talks to me about how, like, the words you speak have have power over you.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a force there. So the more you feel sorry for yourself and you verbally express it, you are setting roadblocks and barriers to your own success. And like you said, there's no ownership, there's a lack of accountability. People don't want to be around you, so what you're putting out there, you're attracting back in abundance. You're not putting shit out there that people want to grab onto, that's magnetic. You know, now, I won't say that it, again, we've said that Brian and I, there's been difficult times where we probably felt sorry for ourselves and we've bitched to each other about our particular situations or whatnot, but I've noticed a shift in you and I that we're still not anywhere where we want to be, but as time goes on, I do find that we don't do that as much because we start to almost strategize. Instead of complaining, we start trying to find the solutions and talking it out either through text message or in person, because we know that, I mean, dude, it's such a waste of time. We talked about that the other day. You're 30, I'm 32. Like, we're still young, but it's like, dude, I mean, gosh, I wish we were doing this when I was in my early... I wish we were doing this podcast in college.
I know.
But we can't take back that time.
No, you can't. We can't dwell on the past.
Yeah, exactly. We can't dwell on the past. Number two, like, we can't take that time back. We can only do what we can do moving forward. So we have no time to feel sorry for ourselves. We have no time to complain.
Yeah, and look, if something happens and you want to feel sorry for yourself, and I've mentioned this in other podcasts, when I would lose a soccer game, my coach would always tell me, all right, you have 24 hours. That is it. That's all you get. And then tomorrow you get your ass back to work and we practice and we work hard. And that is it. So you won't, if you want to feel sorry for yourself, I'm okay with that. But you better put a time limit on that and it better be short. Hours.
It's like Bill Belichick from the Patriots. Like in the news conference, whether they win or lose, hey, coach, what do you think about this or that? It was a great game, and we're moving on to Cincinnati.
Yeah, exactly.
Like right off, like he doesn't even care. He's already, win or lose, he is already going to the next obstacle.
Exactly.
He's not going to sit there and dwell either on a victory or on a loss. You know?
Did you see him start the no days off chant after they won the Super Bowl?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, the Super Bowl, I think it was at the parade. He was like, no days off, no days off.
I think we were too distracted by Gronk chugging beer.
Spiking beer.
From fans throwing him up at the truck, and he's like opening them with his...
This guy played 4 games all season.
And he celebrated like he played.
Like he was
awesome,
he was the MVP.
Hey, he ain't feeling sorry for himself.
No.
He doesn't feel like the world owes him.
He doesn't give a shit what anybody thinks.
You know?
And that's probably why he's super successful. But hey, much love. Hey, Gronk, hit us up.
Yeah.
Get on our podcast.
If you're listening or anyone has connections to Gronkowski, tell him to reach out to us. We'd love to have him on the show.
Oh, man. Get Gronk on the show.
Next episode sponsored by the New England Patriots.
Yes. Oh, man. All right, this next one is don't waste energy on things you can't control.
This is obviously hard for a control freak. I think everyone has a little bit of control freak in them, especially entrepreneurs that know what they want and they know where they want to be. And so sometimes it's hard when things aren't going the way you want them to. You obviously want to control that, but there are things that you can control and things you can't. My mom's notorious for saying this to me growing up as a perfectionist. She's like, Michael, that is out of your control. There's nothing you can do about it. You know, you can't convince that person or you can't force them to do a specific thing. You just need to focus on what you can do. Like for basketball, for example, I can't focus on what other players on the other team are doing. I need to focus on my game and bringing what I know I'm good at to the best of my ability to that game. I can't focus on what the other team's doing.
No, I mean, that's, yeah. And this is, I've had to really learn this. And you have to, and as an entrepreneur,
Me too, I still am.
when I mean, it's an everyday thing. And when I interviewed the Brink CEO today, that's what he said. He goes, because he's in a private equity firm and he invests in startups. He said, you know, the biggest thing is why I probably don't invest in startups is because the entrepreneur can't grow a team. He goes, we've invested in over, I think it was like 30 companies. He goes, I can tell you that most of them don't have the same entrepreneur, they don't have the founder there anymore. We brought in another CEO because that entrepreneur was unable to unload things you couldn't control and delegate things in such a way that allowed them to grow. You can't grow if you're always trying to control and micromanage every little thing in your life. You have to let go and say, look, out of my control. what can I do now to improve it? You know, it's the E plus R equals O. It's the event that you can't control. It's the outcome, and then that plus is the R, the response. Like you can only control your response for a better outcome. So things are going to happen. An event is going to happen in your life. Someone's going to piss you off. Someone's going to say something. Your company's going to fail. You're going to lose money. Something. You can't control that. So you can only control your response. So you hope for a better outcome. I can't say, there's always going to be an outcome, but you can possibly manipulate the outcome by how you respond.
We cannot control how many people watch or listen to our podcast. So we got to let that go.
Yeah.
Which is a struggle for us because we want everyone to listen and watch us. What we can control is the content we bring.
Right.
And bring in the fire and our passion and our energy every single time. And hopefully that takes care of the people watching.
Exactly.
And that brings a greater end result. So we control what we bring here. We can't control what the audience wants to do. But by us controlling what we control, we might get the desired outcome that we want.
Right. If we're prepared, we work hard, we talk, we build our show notes and everything, then we may have a better chance. That's what we can control, is our preparation. So,
Love it.
All right, the next,
this one's
that's
me.
you.
Don't let others influence your emotions.
Oh,
Stop
man.
yelling at me, Brian.
That's so true, man. And I'll tell you, this happens in love, doesn't it? So I used
to get deep, people.
Well, I used to let, when I would go on dates and things, like sometimes I would let a rejection, I would let somebody yelling at me, I would let stupid things in my past relationships control my emotions. And it would be this trigger where it was if I did one little thing, immediately my response is like, oh, I'm sorry, like just get it over with, I'm sorry, like I fucked up, like blah, 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 like feel really bad, like, you know, and then I'd feel bad for myself, I'd feel sorry for myself. And it's just like those kind of things, like I had to get rid of. I had to say, like, nobody can tell me if I'm happy. Nobody can influence me if I'm, sad or feeling upset. Things can happen. People can say stuff, but I still can control my attitude and the way I perceive that. So I had to really work on that early on in my, my 20s, because sometimes other people do. I used to let my dad control my, influence my emotions at times. He'd get pissed and then I'd feel like I'm a failure, and that just happened.
Yeah, and just because someone else is pissed or depressed or upset doesn't mean that you need to be that way too.
Right.
Sometimes you need to balance out that person. But I think I talk a little bit about this in my book, if something happens, rather than like reacting very quickly, take some time to respond. Take some time so that you're not being so emotional right there in the spot. A lot of times you might say something that you regret. And we're actually kind of focusing more on the relationship aspect for this, which is fun.
Yeah, right.
Because again, you could be in a business meeting and someone says something and you get pissed off and you fly off the handle and you just lost a deal, or you just, you really, rubbed them the wrong way or whatever. You know what I mean? So it could go to business as well.
No, in the boardroom, think about that. Sometimes people let their managers or their boss or something, they say one thing, and then you go in shutdown mode and you don't perform at your highest that day. Like, you can't let that was that moment, and that's how you have to look at it. You have to look at it, this was the moment. Mike yelled at me because he's my boss. I feel bad. Now I go and move on and change it. And I talked about this in my fraternity, we would meet in the four walls and we would hash it out and then move on when we left. But that's how you got to look at that, in my opinion, and what's helped me is when somebody yells at me or something, okay, how do I feel right now thinking about it? And then as soon as that conversation's over and that person said what they need to say, we move on, and my attitude's got to go right back to being positive.
Yeah, and I would say what I would add to this one too is my previous place of employment, the corporate job that I worked, the people there were very negative. They wanted to live a mediocre life. They had no goals. They just weren't happy. Now, at times they did influence my emotions and my behavior because I got pissed off. I got annoyed but I had to ultimately say, you know what, no, I want to be successful. I'm not going to get sucked into this vicious cycle that they're in, which is like just an essential. They're going to be in the rat race their entire life because they don't care. So I had to control my emotions. Every day I had to go in and do what I needed to do to the best of my ability. And when I left, I needed to cut that off and say, you know what, this is just a stepping stone for me.
Right.
I'm going to do something bigger and better.
That's exactly right. The next one is don't resent on others' success. Is that what it's
Yes. And this one I like. I'm going to bring up Andy Frisella again in this one because on his Instagram, he said that for anyone that has ever been like super, super successful and that he's talked to them, never once have they ever said that they didn't want to see someone else succeed.
Yeah.
He said losers say that.
Losers
You're
do
never
say
going to
that.
be successful if you want other people to fail, or if you're resentful towards other people. And that's why I honestly know that I am going to be successful, and so are you, because I get inspired when I see other people close a deal or make a ton of money or do something epic or get an accolade. That freaking pumps me up, man. Like I don't want to see people fail. I am not resentful at all. If anything, I'm resentful to myself for coming up short on certain things where I know I could have done better.
Yeah.
But I would never resent anyone else's success because I want to see people crush it. That's where my heart is at,
I agree. Like, I've never been one to be driven by money. I've always been driven by other people being successful or helping people or making an impact. But I can say at times, early on in this journey, I used to be like, dude, why aren't we getting 1 million views? Gary Vee's getting 1 million views, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I kind of almost be a little resentful about that. I'd be like, dude, what the hell? But I've learned now, like, your success is your own journey. That is it. You have your own definition of success, and the only way you can measure it is against yourself. So whatever anybody else is doing, that's their own damn journey on success. You just have to follow your own.
Yeah, I mean, that's more, it's not that I don't feel like you were resentful. I felt like
maybe
you were
not
kind of
compare, that's
slightly
it.
jealous, which is okay, but that jealousy comes from an area of that you want to be on that level too. Not that you don't want him to be on that level.
That's right. I wasn't resent. I guess you're right. Maybe there's definitely a difference. It was definitely more that than it was, I didn't resent. It was more like,
and in return, it inspired you more.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's why we're continuing to work harder.
Time.
Yeah, that's why we're continuing to work harder.
All right, we're on the home stretch here. Number 10, don't shy away from responsibilities. I mean, this is pretty
self-explanatory. Take ownership. Be accountable to yourself and get shit done.
If we got to explain this one to you guys, then
maybe we're breaking this down. Maybe this is just too practical.
Yeah. Maybe you need to go back and repeat like first and second grade or something. Come on,
step up to the plate. Yeah, take leadership. Step up to the plate when your time has come, and just do it. When your wife tells you to take out the garbage, take out the freaking garbage. You're like, be responsible. Do your chores.
Business, life,
yes.
And health. We do have responsibilities as husbands and wives.
Yes, that is true.
It's getting real deep here. Relationship advice.
Yeah,
tonight.
Really. This is like, the love episode.
We're probably the worst husbands ever, but hey, we're great at giving out good advice, y'all.
We don't follow our own advice, but hey, we are giving great advice.
We're a work in progress.
Yes, always, and that's the whole point of this podcast, isn't it?
We're growing right alongside our listeners and our viewers.
Exactly, and that's why it's so much fun. So, number 11, don't give up after the first failure.
If we did that, we wouldn't even be here.
No, right?
Because we like to say that technically it's not failure; it's like a learning lesson. I've had quite a few learning lessons in my life.
Both.
Let me just put it that way. I know you have too. So
tons.
And what does the data say? The average entrepreneur fails what, like 3.8 times or something?
Oh yeah, I mean,
on average, like around 4 times before they actually like hit their big venture, and they're game changer. So that for me, it's like and then the quote too: the master has failed more times than the beginner has even tried. There you go. You just got to keep going, you guys. Don't give up.
Yeah, you definitely, and just from my own experience, I can tell you I've failed many, many, many times and, had many, many learning experiences, whatever. But, it doesn't feel good, but that goes back to the other one that we were talking about, that just because it's your first failure, like, you should embrace that. And almost like, I remember the first time one of the universities rejected me, I read this book called Go for No, and it's no is the way to yes, and you should get as many no's as possible, because that's how you succeed. You should have so many failures and rejections, and then you see success.
That's awesome.
I actually celebrated that moment when they wrote me back. We're like, not interested. I was like, got our first one out of the way. Woo!
There you go.
Like that's
they responded.
They responded.
They acknowledged you have a business.
Yep.
You exist.
I exist, and that was like exciting for me. I was like, cool. That was like my first failure, and to me, I was like, that just propelled me to want to go do more though and work harder. But it was kind of one of those experiences where I could have felt really negative about that and felt like shit and felt like, oh God, maybe it's not a good idea, but instead I just celebrated it.
And that's the same, like the analogy, the comparison on that would be like, let's say you were a NASCAR driver and you got out there and you got dead last, but dude, you just drove a NASCAR like 185 miles per hour against like some of the other top racers in the world. You lost, but like, dude, that was epic. You know,
you
like,
did.
You did it.
You did.
You broke
took
the ice.
action.
You took your first ride out on the track. Like now it's time to get better and better. Each time you get better and better.
I look at I mean, I look at those failures or learning experiences as like, you're doing more by failing than 99% of people who aren't even trying.
Oh yeah.
So to me, it's like, frickin' get out there and fail and have fun with it.
Yeah, I may be going slow, but I'm still lapping everybody on the couch.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about that one, you know?
100%.
I don't know who said that quote, but thank you.
Michael Stull.
I'll plagiarize and take credit for that one.
Check out Dominate Your Day.
Dominate Your Day. MichaelStull.com. Number 12, last but not least, do not fear taking calculated risks.
I mean, this is what all entrepreneurs do. There's been many who have taken risks in general, but I would say the most successful entrepreneurs, business owners, take calculated risks. They understand that there's things that are going to be really difficult and hard, but they also see that there's a lot of opportunity. But they've calculated it. I'm not saying quit your frickin' day job and just go out there and start your own business without having the credibility or putting in some time and effort into it before. Like, that would just be stupid. I would never give anybody that advice. It's not practical. You still have to pay the bills. You still have to. I interviewed the founder of Sick Cups, and they just did $5 million in his first year of business. But for 2 years, well, real business, he was. I would say it was almost a year before they really took action on the idea. But the first year was like planning and ideas and like working on things. But it was this intersection of I'm working at my corporate job till this, it goes up here until this one catches up, your side hustle, and then exceeds what you're doing at your corporate gig. I don't know if you guys can even see that, but it's that cross-section of...
It'll be uploaded to Instagram later.
Yeah, we've made enough money and my side hustle and the business that I want to do where I could quit the corporate job. So make sure you find that intersection. Don't just say, I'm out of here. That's calculated risk.
And that's kind of, and we'll wrap this up, but that's kind of like what I did with my situation. Like my side business was doing pretty decent, and I was writing my book. But I was still working that corporate job, and I couldn't sell it until I actually sat down and really put together a calculated risk game plan where, and I'm not saying everyone has to do this, but I knew that I would probably need to sell my house and take the profit from that. Mm-hmm. I wanted to trade in my truck and get a cheaper vehicle at the time. And there was things that I was cutting baggage off of and to save up my money, and I was taking a calculated risk by saying, I'm going to leave this corporate job, but I know that I got my training. My book's going to be coming out now. Did everything work out exactly as planned? Of course not. But it was a calculated risk for me. I didn't just quit my job and be like, geez, I really hope this works out.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I at least had a game plan of what I thought could happen.
Awesome, man. Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the challenge. And that is simple, same as last week. But this one is choose one of these 12 ways to be mentally strong. So do one of the 12 that we talked about. Do not fear alone time. Don't dwell on the past. Find one of those where you're going to be mentally tough. Work on this mental toughness. I can tell you Mike has some big, big muscles, but this up here takes a lot more than just his regular workouts. This twice as hard to be mentally tough.
Gotta work a mental sweat too.
You caught me at working mental. All right, get in that health tip. Let's get healthy.
The health tip, this is something that I've actually been doing myself lately. I tend to kind of rush through my workouts. Again, you want to keep your heart rate up, obviously. Get in that fat burning mode. But as far as the repetitions within my exercises, I've actually been slowing them down quite a bit, and I've been doing what's called tempo training, where I take about 3 to 4 seconds to lower the weight and another 3 to 4 seconds to raise the weight, with about a 1 second pause in between, and it's called tempo training. And what I've noticed with that is it has really stimulated my muscles to a whole certain degree, to the point where I've gotten super, super sore, and I have not been that way in a long time, because I tend to go very fast through my repetitions, you know. So try tempo training. Slow it down a little bit. Count it out in your head. If you're doing a bicep curl, you're going down a little bit slower, and then you're going up a little bit slower as well. It'll feel like you're kind of being a little lazy, but trust me, you'll definitely feel it the next day. Tempo training.
I love it, man. And you know, I think that idea of slowing things down can also help with these mentally strong, you know, being mentally tough, because slow it down a minute. Take a second to think before you start reacting to some of these things, you know. I think it's so important just to have that, add that attitude. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, all these views, Facebook Live, thank you, podcasters. Please subscribe, rate, and review. We will be so grateful for it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Garcia Carlson, for the new space. If you guys liked it, comment, tell us, what did you think of the new space? You dig it or what? All right, let's get into it. Wifey's calling me. I got to get home. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And we will see you all on the next episode.